So I have this video here from me, so that is called POE 2 patch 0.3, why the gem system must change. I have to be honest, I like the gem system in Path of Exile 2. The only thing that I wish was possible is downgrading or de-leveling some gems in case you over-level them, and the stat requirements or the mana requirements and stuff like that. Sometimes you want to have a spirit gem with a level 4, level 7 spirit gem, but you can't get the drop, and it is a pain in the ass. Those things need to be addressed. But that is not necessarily the gem system, right? Those are little things that you can tweak and change. So when I see that the gem system as a whole must change, I have to watch this video. And we have watched Miso's videos before, and they are really good. So let's see what he has to say in here. Dude, over 60% of you are not subscribed. Why? Why are you like this? Just click the sub button, dude. It is quick, it is easy, it is free. You get content, I get a sub, win-win situation. Just click the sub button, my dude.
Hey guys, so recently I made a video talking about what I think Path of Exile 2 needs to do in order to
we watched that video and it was really good.
Bring back a lot of the players that were really disappointed at the beginning of Dawn of the Hunt and probably aren't going to pick up the game unless there are some really big changes going into this patch 0.3, at least until the release of Path of Exile 2 1.0. Now, those are a list of things that I think are imperative, but it's not necessarily an exhaustive list of everything that I want in the patch 0.3. So today I want to talk about something that I think could be very important and I really want them to change in patch 0.3, though not necessarily like, you know, this is going to decide whether or not somebody plays the game or not. So in front of me, I've talked about gems. As you can see here, I have two big categories, which is uncut skill gems and spirit gems, and gem sockets, because I think that those are one of the big problems, the two big problems that I have right now with the gem system that I think needs to be reworked.
I'll be honest, I just saw the two first ones and I agree completely with this. Be able to buy gems up to level 14. I told you this basically. This is the same as the leveling. If you can just buy them, this is the leveling, right? It's the same bullshit. You can just buy a lower one and get it. It is not exactly the same because with the leveling, you don't lose the perfect jeweler's orb if you already use it. If you buy a new one, you have to perfect jeweler's orb it. But at least you can do it in some way. And the second one is add uncut gems to currency exchange. This will be awesome. This will be really good. I love that. Also because of the ones you sell. I always have my stash full of support gems that I am not using, and maybe they could sell in the currency exchange for 1 Exile, or who cares.
So starting with uncut skill gems, I think that one of the biggest problems with the uncut gem system is the fact that right now we just have no way, like no good way of obtaining the lower level skill gems. Now,
and exactly, and by the way guys, it is worse with the spirit gems, because with uncut gems you probably have a ton of them in the stash and you don't care, you go and you pick one up. But the spirit gems, if you need a lower level spirit gem, it is a pain in the ass.
Now, on our first playthrough, it might not be as big of an issue. It's like we would understand that, oh, we're going to be missing bits and pieces here and there, but it doesn't make any sense that after our first playthrough, it's still so hard to get the lower skill gems. Like, I think a spirit gem that's like level 8 or level 12 or something like that is way more expensive than a level 20 skill gem. I don't think that should ever be the case, where the higher level skill gems are less expensive than the lower level ones just because of scarcity. So I have a couple of solutions that I have listed in front of us, and you can see, I'm going to show you guys, right? This is my character at the end of, you know, whenever I stopped playing, like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago for Trade League. And this is just one character, by the way. I've played like 5 different characters or something like that. So I played the game quite a bit. This character itself, I think I've played 5 days, 6 hours, 38 minutes, and 8 seconds. So quite a bit of time on just this character. And I have like 4 characters that I've played, you know, a little bit less probably, but still a good amount of hours. So I played this a lot. And my current skill gem inventory looks like this. Of course, I stopped picking up skill gems at some point, but as you can see, the higher skill gems, I have way more than the lower skill gems.
Exactly, because you level up, you stop getting them, and then when you spend a lot of your time in the end game, you get a lot of drops. But then if you need a lower level gem, you are fucked up. And you will say, but why would you need a lower level gem? Because of mana requirements, attributes requirements, and a lot of stuff like that you need the lower level. GG has said before that they don't want you to want to de-level your gem, that they want to balance the system. So you always want the highest possible level, and that is why they have not implemented something like this. And although I do commend them for the intention, the philosophy, it is good. Yes, try to make it so that you always want to have the best possible one. That is a good intention. The problem is that it is harder to balance that. It is much harder to balance that. It is an easier, faster solution to implement. To just allow me to de-level the gem and you take one headache off of your mind, you know. But I do commend them for trying to go for the best solution. But you can have this band-aid meanwhile, GG.
Have like no level 1s, no level 2s, 1 level 3, 1 level 4, 2 level 5s, and none of these are spirit gems. And I think that that is a big problem, that just because I don't have any of these, when I'm leveling subsequent characters, or maybe in the future, I might want to get a spirit gem at a lower level because I don't have the stat requirements for the higher ones. I can't do that unless I pay a premium for those skill gems. Like I have to pay a lot more than the level 20 skill gems to actually get them. And I think that is a big, big problem.
That is stupid as fuck.
So my first suggestion is that you should be able to just buy gems up to level 14. The reason I think about this as a solution is because in Path of Exile 1, you're able to buy skill gems from the shop. Just go in and you can buy like Enduring Cry, you can buy Flicker Strike, you can buy whatever you want in the shop. Of course, they don't all come unlocked at the beginning. As you play further into the campaign, they get more and more.
Which is awesome, by the way. I love that about POE 1. Like you have the person in your hideout. I have it right here. You go to Lily Road, you go purchase items, all the gems are here. Skill gems and support gems all are in here. It is fucking awesome. Yes, there are some support gems like the Awakened Bullshit that on this Awakened Void Manipulation. You can't buy this one because it is a rare one that you have to get as a drop. You can still do that in POE 2. Like you can, as he's saying, you can buy the 14 level ones, and for 14 up, you have to get them as a drop. Okay, cool, fine by me. But look how in POE 1 you can just come to a vendor and you have your gems right here. Level 1, you have to level them up. Okay, do that in POE 2, brother.
Unlocked, and at the end, you're able to get every single skill gem, at least not the modified skill gems, from the shop base. I think that you should be able to do that as well in Path of Exile 2. It could be like at a certain level, because these skill gems obviously do require levels to be able to cut them. When you're at the required level for the skill gem, you should be able to buy that skill gem from the shop up to level 14. Now, the reason why I say up to level 14 is because level 14 gems is the first gems that you get from maps. So when you're doing a tier 1 map, I believe the gems that you get from there are level 14. So that should be the cutoff point for when you are able to buy gems. Because I do think there is merit to finding higher level gems. And again, the higher level gems should be rarer, aka more expensive. So the lower level gems are going to be very...
I agree with this, and you can just trade with them like player to player as you do for the Awakened gems in POE 1. I agree completely with this.
Very easy to get. You can just buy them from the shop, and the higher level uncut gems you have to find. I think that makes a lot of sense and makes the game just a lot better. You don't run into the system where you're leveling through the campaign. And also with that, you could also make it so that after you're done with the campaign, you can start buying it, and then all your subsequent characters you can, but your first playthrough you can't, if you really did want to keep that like gem scarcity for your campaign experience, at least on the first character. I personally think that you should just be able to buy it regardless if it's your first playthrough or your second playthrough or whatever. But just for those people who are like, oh, I really want my first playthrough to feel like I'm kind of like trying to get and find things. Okay, first playthrough, don't let me buy it. But after I finish my playthrough, get to maps, let me buy that, the gems from the shop and all my subsequent characters. So yeah, that is the first suggestion that I have. The next one is a very easy one. You can just implement this very easily. And I think when we get our new trade system, whenever they come out with that, this problem should basically, this solution should basically already be in the game. But that's to add uncut gems to the currency.
Yeah, exactly. If they don't add the gems right now to the currency exchange, when the trading solution comes, gems are going to be there. So it is a problem that is going to solve itself. But at the same time, meanwhile we wait for that trading to happen, just putting in the currency exchange, there is no reason why these gems shouldn't be in the currency exchange, to be honest. They are the premium example of something that should be in the currency exchange.
Right now, the uncut gems are basically a static item. You can't really change them. So it makes sense that you could just put them into the currency change. You'd be like, I want a level 8 gem, a level 7 gem, level 6 gem. Yes, the scarcity problem wouldn't be solved because you're still going to have way less level 5s, level 4s, level 3s, whatever in the market. So those are still going to be more expensive. So it doesn't necessarily solve the problem completely, but it's a nice band-aid fix that makes the problem easier. One of the other big problems with it is that if you want to get a lower level gem, you have to visit the trade site. And most people aren't really going to be selling those, or at least not paying attention to them. So you probably have to scroll through like...
Exactly. And the trading site, really cool site with a lot of options. People don't want to trade outside of the game. A lot of people don't engage with the system because they don't want to go to the website. And they don't... What he's saying here, they don't even... One of the ways these gems are scarce is not even that they are scarce by nature, which they are because of their low level nature, but also that people that have them don't even post them to trading because they are not thinking about it, they don't care, whatever, and it adds up to the scarcity.
50 trades to even get one person to respond to you. So if you added the uncut gems to the currency market, it would be very easy to fix, on top of making it so that you didn't have to worry about people being there or not to respond. But again, this is a better solution. This is kind of like a band-aid solution. The other one I really like is to be able to select the level of the gem as long as it's lower than the current one.
That is a good idea, but the problem with that is that it is too convenient. GG is never going to give you that because it is too convenient. They can give you solutions to that problem, but that involve more work. That is too convenient. That is never going to happen. I don't think. Maybe it happens and I will be proven wrong, but I don't think they will ever do that.
So for example, I can go to this level 20 gem, and when I want to cut a falling thunder, I can choose here with like a up and down arrow or something like that, what level gem I want to cut. So right now it's on level 20, but maybe there's a down arrow right here, and that lets me bring the level of the gem lower and let me cut a level 18 gem, level 5 gem, level whatever, up until at least where I can cut it. So that's another solution. I think probably one of the more elegant solutions in my...
It is a really good solution. That would be awesome. Please give it to me. Let's see. Maybe I will be proven wrong, but I don't think they will do it like that.
In my opinion, that wouldn't really affect the economy too much. In a sense, it's basically the same thing as this, but it actually requires you to find the gems in the first place, even like the higher level gems, and not necessarily just be able to buy it outright. So this is probably the closest to what we have in our current system without changing too much, that I think could, basically be still balanced.
By the way, I do want to say that at the start when I said before playing the game that the problem with gems was the deleveling of them, so far we are over halfway the video and he's discussing that. So I was on point that that was a problem, but at the same time, I don't necessarily think that that means the gem system. It is just the requirements for the gems and the levels of the gems. But to me, the gem system is having the interface where you have all your gems and the way you socket up the support gems in your gems. That is to me the gem system, right? That it is colorless. It is not, the links are just with the jeweler's orb. In POE 1, the gem system is annoying, in my opinion, that you have to have it linked with colors in your gear. That is the gem system, in my opinion. So, in that sense, I like the gem system better in POE 2. It just needs to be improved a little bit.
Balanced, but add that QOL there for us to do. The other thing that I have is this one, which is kind of the opposite problem, opposite direction of the problem, which the main problem is that you're not able to get the lower gems. But at the same time, maybe you might have some problems with the higher level gems, especially on solo self-found. So on the opposite end, maybe it's about being able to also combine X amount of uncut gems to level it up. So let's say I have 10 level 19s. I can combine those 10 level 19s to get a level 20 gem. That's also...
That is a good idea. Never going to happen. Because they want you to get the drop or trade for it. Because it is too convenient, because then you are not breaking the wall of having to drop the 20.
Possibility. It's going to make level 20 gems a lot more common. So it will affect the economy in that sense. But it's another way for us to get our gems easier, which I think right now is an issue. This one's a lot less of an issue, which is why I left it here at the end. But I figured that if I was going to let people go downwards, I should at least find a solution to let people go upwards in level as well. So that's it for the uncut and spirit gems. That's the main problem. And I think those are some solutions I would suggest. Let me know what you guys think. And also if you have any other suggestions. But the next problem on this list has to do with gem sockets. I think that gem sockets still are a big issue in Path of Exile 2. Now, they did buff the drop rates of greater jewelers and perfect jewelers with the 0.2.1 patch.
I do think that the 0.2 patch, the 0.2.1 patch was really good for this. And also the 0.2, because I don't know if you guys know this, but before, to be able to use a perfect jewelers, you needed to have used a greater first. And to be able to use a greater, you needed to have a lesser first. They deleted that. Now you can use a perfect jeweler's orb on a new gem, and you will get all slots right away, skipping the lesser and the greater. That is really cool. I love that. That improved the system a lot. But let's see what he has to say in here.
I think, but I still don't think that it's enough, especially because it's all RNG. Like, if you just get unlucky, you could pretty much never get a perfect jeweler's orb, especially if you're on solo self-found. If you're on trade, that's less of an issue because eventually you'll be able to buy it. But at the same time, during your first play,
you have to remember that the game is balanced around trading. Solo self-found is a self-imposed challenge. GGG makes the game with trading in mind, and they think if you want to play solo self-found, that is your deal. We don't give a fuck about that. The game is with trading. That is their perspective. So if perfect jeweler's orb is rare that you don't find one, the intended way for you to get it is trading for it in the currency exchange. I am not saying it is cool, it is bad, it is good, it is wrong. I am just saying this is the way it is.
Or again in solo self-found, a lot of times it can feel like you're putting on a blindfold and just trying to throw darts at a dartboard, hopefully one day being able to land that bullseye to get that perfect jeweler's orb. I really think that that is bad balance, especially with the fact that we don't have like a crafting bench or anything like that. It's just complete random. So I would like it to be that there's always going to be guaranteed one jeweler orb per type, per character, or maybe not per character, right? Let's just say guaranteed one jeweler orb per type per season, even if we really want to keep it limited. But per character probably would be even better. So the first thing I would do is, of course, we have our guaranteed Act 3 Lesser Jeweler Orb from the camp right before the Ziggurat encampment in Act 3, right? That's already in the game. We guarantee a Lesser Jeweler Orb in that camp. Now, I would like to expand upon that and make it so that we can even get a Greater Jeweler Orb from that when we get there in Act 3 Cruel. Now, this is going to be changing, obviously. In the future, we won't be having Cruel anymore. So whatever that equivalent is, I would like them to get that. Maybe that's Act 6, right? At some point in Act 6, we'll get a guaranteed Greater Jeweler Orb. Now, when it comes to the Perfect Jeweler Orb,
I do think this is a cool suggestion, but at the same time, again, I play trade. I always and the game is designed around trading. So at that point in time, you can, with whatever drops you have gotten up to that point, you can trade for the greater. Maybe it is not optimal, and moreover, if you don't want to engage with the trading system, that it sucks, GGG, please fix trading, and they are going to try to improve trading, we know that. At that point, maybe the intention is, or you get it in a drop, or you trade for it. basically. And the same goes for the perfect Euler's orb.
I don't necessarily think that it should be like when we get to maps, but I think it should be something like, when we get to a certain amount of Atlas points, because I still do want the 5 link, the full max link, right? 6 link to be rare, but at the same time, you need to be able to get it at some point. So maybe it's about X amount of Atlas points. Maybe it's completing the Atlas, or it's like halfway through the Atlas, but some way for us to actually guarantee a perfect jeweler orb at some point for our character. Again, this
cool suggestion. Again, never going to happen. They are never going to guarantee you a perfect jeweler's orb. They want that to feel like a big upgrade, like something to chase, to have a fully linked skill gem. They are never going to give you that for free. Not going to happen. Let me tell you right now, guys. Maybe the greater they could do it, but with the perfect, never going to do it.
This Atlas point will be a character specific one, or a season specific one. So you want a character specific one, so like every single character gets one. You can put it at another point where it's like, we reach I don't know, the first boss of a tier 10 map. That will always guarantee a perfect jeweler's drop. Something like that, right? That could also work. But either way, it should be something where we get one guaranteed lesser, greater, and perfect jeweler's orb throughout the campaign. And the perfect jeweler orb doesn't even have to be a tradable one, because that could, affect the economy, obviously. Some people could just massively farm characters, get to that point, and then just keep making more and more characters to get that perfect jeweler's orb. So again, if you made it untradeable or one per basically season, that would circumvent that problem, but still give us that guaranteed deterministic drop. The other thing that I had an idea on was to bring back gem EXP. In Path of Exile 1, gems had EXP, and you use that EXP to level up the gems to make them stronger. Now in Path of Exile 2, we don't have that. We just have the level of the gems, and then we go in and cut the gem of the higher level. No need to level, no need to do anything. But at some point in the Path of Exile 2, beta, alpha, whatever you want to call it, right, the development cycle, they actually did still keep that gem leveling.
This is what I told you earlier, by the way. Look at that, the sockets still had colors. At this point, the sockets still had colors. And I didn't remember this, but he's showing it that it also had experience. I don't know how I feel about the experience part, because I am fine with either system. Like, I don't mind experience, but I kind of prefer not having experience. But the problem is that if you are at level 19 and you are unlucky and you don't get the level 20, it feels a little bad. But I don't know. I feel weird about also leveling up with experience. I don't know.
System, and they got rid of it at some point. What I would say is that maybe instead of making it so that the EXP is for the level of the gem, because I do like the uncut gem system that we have right now in terms of the leveling, maybe make it so that these levels are going towards the sockets. So after you get a certain amount of EXP, your gem will go to 3 sockets, then 4 sockets, then...
Good suggestion. In fact, that is how your intrinsic abilities work. By the way, if you guys don't know this, your intrinsic abilities mean your default attack. Or if you are using something like Meditate for the Monk or Poison Concoction for the Pathfinder, these abilities, you can't use a Euler's Orb on those abilities. They unlock their other slots by your level. For example, the basic attack or the Meditate, all these abilities unlock the fully perfect Euler's Orb slot when you reach level 90. So that is basically what he's describing in here. Again, cool idea. Never going to happen because they want you to use a perfect Euler's Orb.
5 sockets. It doesn't have to be like super easy. Obviously, again, that's going to impact the cost of perfect jeweler orbs. But I think that having this option to where people can level up their gems and get sockets as they're playing their character, as they're leveling through the campaign, as they're getting through the maps, is another way to be adding deterministic upgrading of your sockets. So that is a solution that I had. So at a certain amount of EXP, you get more sockets, and still Jeweler's Orbs would be in the game and can still be used to instantly upgrade your gem sockets to whatever it is. So you
they will lose a lot of value at that point, right? Because people would think, oh, do I use it? Do I wait? You know, it would reduce the value of the Jeweler's Orb.
Want max sockets, you can still use a Jeweler's Orb to upgrade that to max sockets. That way you're not getting rid of the Jeweler's Orb system, but at the same time letting people have agency on getting their jewel gem sockets without having to RNG it. So that's another option. And then the final one I have is very simple: combine X amount of lesser jeweler orbs, greater jeweler orbs, whatever, to upgrade. So maybe it's...
This is basically the system that we have with runes. You can use 3 lesser runes in the reforged bench and you get one of the next one. And if you use 3 of the next one, you get the greater rune. Maybe you can do that with Jeweler's Orbs, but maybe requiring more than 3, because then it will be too easy to get the perfect Jeweler's Orb. I don't know. Not a bad idea. But again, I don't know. I can see them doing something like this, but I don't know.
Like 5 lesser jeweler orbs, 10 greater jeweler orbs, and then like all that gets to this. So it's like you need 5 lesser jeweler orbs to get to a greater jeweler orb, and 10 greater jeweler orb to get to a perfect jeweler orb. Something like that would be a very easy solution to implement in the game, in my opinion. So yeah, those are the ways that I think that they should go upon fixing the current gem system and the jeweler system in the game right now in Path of Exile 2. Let me know down in the comments section below what you guys think about my solutions, and if you have any other solutions of your own for these issues. As always, if you enjoyed this type of content, the best way to support the channel and let me know that you like the content is by hitting the sub button, or I stream every single night on twitch.tv/bselectshiru, so I'd love to see you guys there. But if you guys can't make it, don't worry. Hopefully I'll see y'all on the next video. All right, guys.
Hey dude, I am subscribed and this was an awesome video, me, so thank you so much, dude. It made us discuss a lot about the gem system, and yes, I do think the gem system, not the system itself, as I said earlier, the gems themselves can be improved with this leveling stuff. The perfect Jeweler's Orb and all of that gets harder, because I don't think that it is that bad, since you can just trade for them in the currency exchange. Maybe for solo self-found players it gets muddy. But the part about the levels, in my opinion, is really important because of the attribute requirements, the mana requirements. So that part is really important. Thank you so much, Miso, for this video, my dude. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I a clown? Am I a genius? Let me know everything in the comments below. I love reading comments even when they don't agree with me. Also remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. God bless ya. And remember, don't be afraid ever, because this is just a ride.